as an initial thing that we must do in order to correct this is a simple little matter. Just get rid of the Federal Reserve System entirely.
This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by nhliberty.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you continue getting your meals, we know that some people are still getting their meals. We want to make sure we give you enough time for the congressmen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congressman Ron Paul.
Thank you very much for that very nice introduction, and congratulations on your committee here and your new adventure with building the Republican Party. It sounds to me like, after listening to Jack speak, I believe you have a really great leader for the party of this state. Congratulations. Sounds to me like you might make a good governor someday. But it is a real delight here, and I appreciate the invitation. And I've been here for 2 days. This is my second day. And guess what I discovered? There's a lot of people in this state that love liberty, and that's exciting. I hear you have a great slogan on your license plates, too. But no, it is really great to be here and to be among friends. You know, on occasion we give speeches on the House floor, and sometimes you see the pictures on the House floor, and there's nobody there. So I am really glad to get out of Washington. At least there's some people here, and sometimes you seem excited about it. So this is very, very nice. And the problems are really very serious. But I speak a lot, especially to young people, but I tell people who are involved in politics that, yes, you need to understand the issue, you need to know the solutions, you need to take it seriously, but in the meantime, you ought to have some fun doing it, because we don't know exactly what tomorrow will bring or how long this is going to take. But then the associations with like-minded people are very, very important, and that's why I'm delighted to come to an event like this, because it seems like you all are having a good time, and that's very good. And it is true, I've been involved in politics for a long time, and occasionally I'm asked, well, yeah, you've been there a long time and the deficit keeps going up. What have you been doing? And they ask, why haven't you achieved more? And in conventional wisdom, I haven't achieved very little. You know, how many bills have I passed? You know, I got a gold commission started, which I thought was instrumental, and we talked about sound money back in the early 80s, and we worked hard on auditing a Fiat, which didn't get passed. But you know, if you measure effectiveness differently, maybe things aren't all that bad, because if you measure it in conventional status of passing new laws and putting new rules on the people, that's a horrible way to measure somebody's success. I'd like to see the day when we measure success by our legislators by how many bills and how many laws they've repealed. That's what it is. And I could name just a few that we should and hopefully do someday repeal into Washington, D.C. Take off all of the mandates from the federal government on the states. Let's start a movement called nullification and get the states' rights back. But you know, sometimes I often wonder, as maybe you must at times, how did we ever get into this mess? How did we slip into it? And I think about that a lot, and I don't know if I have the answer, but my assessment of this is this. that if you have freedom, and our country had the maximum freedom, that is what's great, and we all have benefited, and we still benefit because we still outshine a lot of other countries. But as freedom transpires, freedom creates great wealth. And then what happens with the wealth, people concentrate on wealth more than the principles of liberty, and they go coasting and thinking wealth is the important issue and redistribution of wealth is what we should be involved with. So they concentrate on special interest redistribution of wealth, and this makes the country poorer. But at the same time as the wealth is dwindling, which it has been for quite a long time, especially the last 12 years, it's been going down. But as the wealth goes down, nobody wants to lower their standards of living. So what do we do as individuals and business and governments? They resort to borrowing money. Debt is the nemesis, and therefore it looks like, you know, nobody thinks they've been really suffering for a long time, but on the margin, a lot of people have been. The standard of living has been going down for 12 years, but you know, even on the surface, we can look out, and most people are still doing rather well, and we hide from the fact that probably more than 20% are unemployed. But it's all on debt and borrowing, and if we wanted to clean the slate, what would we have to do to pay this debt off? We owe it to foreigners, we owe it to so many other people. So this is the reason that we are in the midst of this crisis. That anybody, if you as an individual live beyond your means, there's a limitation to it. And if you're an honorable citizen and the bank won't loan you any money, and you're not on the verge of declaring bankruptcy, what do you have to do? You have to slash spending, you have to work harder and pay down your debt and lower your standard of living. But politicians and governments and the people on the dole, they don't want to hear any of that. And you know, it continues on and on. Now, it is true that when things get out of kilter, I happen to have a personal belief that bankruptcy is something that either absolutely should be avoided or in a very minimal way. But economically speaking, and nationally, we have national bankruptcy laws since the beginning of our country. That when things get out of kilter, the most important thing we should do is have the liquidation of debt and go through the bankruptcy. In the Old Testament, it had something to do with the Jubilee. You know, you get a new start. So the market wants to correct things. The market wants to say enough is enough. You've spent too much. The debt is too high. You're living on borrowed money. It is now time you have to live beneath your means. But governments don't want it, so the government wants to paper it over, and they say, you don't have to do it. We've done it before. We get into a little correction, which is the market demanding get things back into balance. No, what we need to do is pump harder, pump the money supply, pump the spending, and reinflate the bubbles. And they've been able to get away with that for a long time. But what we're facing today as a nation, and as a party, and in our philosophy, is that has come to an end. There will be no more temporary recoveries like we've had, you know, periodically every 5 to 10 years you have a pretty serious recession. This is not just a recession. This is a major event for us, and not just for us, it's a major event for the world. Because what was established in 1971 was a total fiat currency where we were able to inherit the privilege of printing the gold, or printing the money that other countries were going to treat like gold and put it in reserve currency, which permitted us endless borrowing power. And we still are borrowing. People still trust us. We have a military might. That conveys confidence to our political system and to our money. But that is going to come an end. It is absolutely impossible to endlessly spend, endlessly have deficits, and endlessly print money. And because this system is worldwide, it's a worldwide event. Your security can't be achieved no matter how a few people are capable of trading currencies and going from dollar to yen to euros and whatnot. But that is not going to be the solution because everybody depends on the dollar. Now, what happens when a government does that? How does the default occur? People receiving a check from government, whether they're getting food stamps or Social Security or veterans benefit, those checks will always come. And the government can't do that because all they have to do is print the money. But you know what they can't do is they can't convey value to that, and that's how the debt will be liquidated, and that is what's happening right now. It's already started. The prices are rising. It's going to be a lot worse than the 1970s, and we will be under the gun to reassess this and change it. As an initial thing that we must do in order to correct this is a simple little matter. Just get rid of the Federal Reserve System entirely. And while we're doing that, we might as well repeal all of 1913. We'll get rid of the But, you know, the income tax facilitates big government. The Federal Reserve facilitates big government because that is a delayed tax. Governments, just think of what Washington could do if they didn't rely on the Fed to print the money to buy the Treasury bills. They would have to stop because interest rates would go up and people wouldn't keep borrowing the money. And so the Fed is a culprit in this. So, but it is still a symptom of a problem that we have and allowed to develop over these many, many decades, that we have lost our way in many manners. That we have come to the assumption that that is different than the founders about what the role of government ought to be. You know, to me, in a free society, and the founders believed it's in our Constitution, the role of government is not complex. The role, at least of the federal government, and the purpose of the government is for the preservation of our liberty. That is
You know how I'm always talking about the fact that if you go to the State House and you swing your fist, you hit a member of the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance. Well, I've never actually showed you any video of the way the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is able to just pack the State House full of liberty activists. Take a look at this. On this day, we had about 30 activists, I think, to fight for more freedom in New Hampshire and prevent the State House from passing bad bills. There have been times where we've had more like 50. Here they are meeting with the governor the same day. And they've had quite a bit of legislative success, too. That's why I'm a member of the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance, and hope you will be, too. Find out more at nhliberty.org. nhliberty.org.